it would have been easier to endure that pain if I would have chosen to have a natural birth, but the choice was taken away from me. You know how when you like hit your pinky toe on something, it hurts so bad that it makes you angry? It was that times 1000. Hey guys, it's Naira. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, what's up? If you are new here, go ahead and subscribe. I do lifestyle, beauty content. I'm a new mom. I love makeup. I love shopping. I love giving y'all a good little haul moment. I love a good little vlog. So yeah, if you're into all that, go ahead and subscribe. As you can tell by the title, today's video is going to be a labor and delivery story time. It's going to be the story of me giving birth. And as you also can see by the title, my epidural wore off. I'm gonna be telling you guys everything that happened to me, the good, the bad, the ugly. I know it's very comforting for a lot of women who are nearing labor to hear other people's labor and delivery stories. So yeah, I'm just gonna be telling you guys mine, being that my story is a bit unique in the sense that I got the epidural and that thing decided to stop thanging. Epidural decided it just wasn't gonna work no more. So yeah, let's just get into the story. All right, so the afternoon of the 25th, I went to pee at like 3 o'clock and I was leaking fluid. Like, this is gonna be TMI, but if you're pregnant or you've had a baby, or if you're not immature, like, you're not gonna be bothered by this. I put my underwear down and it was like as if I had peed, but it was amniotic fluid. It wasn't pee. You know, pee and amniotic fluid smell different. That's how I know. So I put my underwear down and I've been leaking fluid. They are soaked. And I'm like, ugh, whatever. But I'm 37 weeks. So obviously I'm very close to full term. I'm very close to like going into labor. Really at 37 weeks, it's kind of considered like any day now because that's like late preterm. I call my mom and my older sister and they're like, your water could have broke. You need to go to the hospital. You guys, I lie to you not. I was so freaking annoyed because Brandon and I were gonna go to Target so I could look at vinyls. I was like, I want to go to Target to buy vinyls. And my mom was like, take your ass to the hospital. Like, you don't need to go walk around Target because what if your water broke? And I was like, I don't think it did. And my mom was like, yeah, but you also don't know. And it was the most fluid that I had leaked ever, like my entire pregnancy. So I was like, all right, I'll go. I put it off until about 6 or 7. Like, I went to the hospital pretty late. Brendan had drove me to the hospital, but because of COVID, unless you are in active labor being admitted to the hospital, nobody can come up with you. And me and Brendan were like, what if this is it? What if, I didn't think I was in labor, but we were like, what if this is it? You know, what if my water did break? And so he waited in the car while they tried to figure out if my water had actually broken. Now, on the ride to the hospital is when I started experiencing some pain. So I was having really bad back pain and like waist cramps, like lower stomach waist-ish. I was like having some pain, but really the cramping of like my waist area was not that bad. It was my back pain. My back pain was kicking my you know what. Like, I was really going through it. My back hurt so bad. And the thing about my contractions is my entire pregnancy, my Braxton Hicks, and then when I started having actual contractions, like later in my pregnancy, they don't hurt. So you would feel my stomach and it would be rock hard. And Brandon would be like, are you having a contraction right now? Like, your stomach is so hard. And I didn't even know until I put my hand on my stomach to feel my stomach like contracting and releasing. My contractions had no pain. So I got lucky there because a lot of women are like, contractions is the worst pain you'll feel in your life. I didn't feel my contractions. And like, that was always a place of concern for me. Like, once I got around like 35 weeks, I was like, I've never had a painful contraction. I've never had a Braxton Hick that like caught me off guard or anything like that. So I was like, dang, how will I know when I'm really in labor? Because my contractions don't hurt. So I get to the hospital, I get to labor and delivery. I told them I'm leaking fluids. They have me pee in a cup because they were going to test my pee to see if my water had broken. And it came back inconclusive. But all they knew is that I was like, yo, I'm in the worst back pain of my life. And so they hooked me up to the monitor and they're monitoring me. Baby's heart rate is fine. But my contractions are less than 3 minutes apart. So they're like, oh my God. They check to see if I'm dilating and I'm only dilated 1 centimeter, but my contractions are stupid close together, like less than 3 minutes. And they're like, you don't feel this? Like you're not having any contraction pains, no like discomfort like around your stomach? And I tell them, you know, like my waist and my back, not feeling no contractions though. So they monitor me for a while and they're like, look, after an hour, they were like, you haven't dilated anymore, but your contractions are so close together, we don't want to send you home. So they have me walk around the labor and delivery floor. They have me walk in circles for an hour, which is not uncommon for them to do when you go and you think that you might be in labor. They have you walk to see if you can start dilating a little bit more, like to see if you're actually going into active labor or if you can bring active labor on. So I walked around and around and around in 1,000 circles for a whole hour around the labor and delivery floor. And I was on the phone with my mom the whole time. And she was like, and I was like 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, pretty much every 10 minutes, I was like, my back hurts. I don't want to be walking. I want to go sit down. And I was somebody personally who was like miserable at the end of my pregnancy. I know some women love being pregnant and they like feel happy the whole time. Yo, my 3rd trimester, I was pissed off every day because I didn't want to be pregnant anymore. And I just wanted to have my baby. So my mom was like, if you want to have this baby, you're sick of being pregnant, you better keep walking and see if you can get that baby out of you. And I was like, you're right. So I walked for an hour and I went back. They monitored me some more. Contractions were still the same, but then they checked to see if I had dilated anymore. And whereas I was 1, almost 2 centimeters dilated before, I was now 2, almost 3. And they were like, yeah, okay, see, now you're dilating steadily, so we're not gonna send you home. We're gonna go ahead and get you admitted, get you into a room, because you're not leaving till you have this baby. And I literally was crying tears of joy. Because like I said, I don't want to be pregnant anymore. And I wanted to meet my little girl. And I was miserable and I felt fat and I couldn't bend over. I couldn't put my shoes on myself. Like I was big at the end of my pregnancy, especially for me. I had never weighed more than like 115 pounds. So I was huge and I was ready to give birth. So I called Brandon. I was like, come on up, boo. We stay in the night. So he came upstairs and they get me hooked up and everything. And they told me like, now that you're in active labor, let us know when you're ready for the epidural. It's not gonna wear off. And they're like, it's constant. You know, they were telling me like the epidural is not just like a shot and then it'll wear off. They were like, it's like constant pain medication. So you'll be fine. Don't worry about taking it too early or anything like that. So overnight they're monitoring me and I'm still not feeling my contractions, but my contractions are still really close together. I sleep through the night and no baby comes. But when I got to my actual room and they like hooked me up and I was in like the hospital room and I was in bed and everything, that's when they were like, all right, now you're in active labor. You can't eat anything. I didn't eat before I got admitted. So now I'm like, yo, I have not eaten since like 1 or 2 o'clock. It was no later than 3 because 3 is when I went to the bathroom and realized I was leaking. So I was so freaking annoyed because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be starving. Like I was pissed, like guys, I was pissed. So the next day, the 26th, I was given the epidural around noon. That's when I was like, all right, go ahead and give it to me. Because I was around 5 centimeters dilated then. And I was dilating very slowly, like as you can hear. But I was around 5. And so they were like, we're gonna go ahead and break your water. And I was like, give me that damn epidural before you break my water. Are you kidding? So I got the epidural and then they broke my water. And they hooked me up to the catheter, which is the worst. Guys, I'm like, I could get mad just thinking about it, no joke. One of the worst pains I've ever felt in my entire life is getting hooked up to a catheter. It literally sends like chills down my spine just thinking about that freaking pain. I almost said a curse word, ugh. But they hooked me up to a catheter, ugh. And they gave me my epidural at about noon. I was 5 centimeters dilated. They broke my water. And then it started happening. About 3 hours later, I was like I would shift in bed and I would move and I would feel the epidural in my back, right? And you're not supposed to feel anything. Like you're supposed to be numbed off the epidural. I like feel the needle in my back and it kind of hurts. And I'm like, that's weird. But I ignored it. And then I start feeling like in my leg and the catheter's hurting. And I'm like, this is not very normal because I'm supposed to be numb. I just got an epidural. So like things start hurting. Like I can feel some lightning pain in my crotch. I can feel my legs feel like they're cramping or like falling asleep or like tingly or something. And I'm like, bro, what is going on? Because my epidural is clearly not working. So I call the nurse back into the room and I'm like, yo, I'm feeling some feelings in my legs, and I'm feeling some feelings in my crotch, and I'm feeling some feelings where the needle is in my back with this epidural. I don't know if it's in right. I don't know if it's wearing off. I don't know what the hell is going on, but this epidural ain't working the way y'all said it was supposed to be working. The epidural is not giving what y'all said it was supposed to give. And she was like, oh, it's probably just pressure. This is the thing about healthcare workers. They've seen everything, they've done everything. I understand they're well experienced, they're well versed. But when I'm telling you I'm in pain, you're not about to tell me I'm in pressure, okay? I'm not feeling pressure, I'm feeling pain. But I'm like, realistically, there's nothing they can do about it. Nothing. What is she gonna do? Take the epidural out my back? Then I don't have it at all. And she can't like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, what really can be done? But I'm terrified. So the nurse told me if you start feeling increased pressure, if you feel a rush of water come out of or a rush of fluids come out of yourself, if something starts to feel like heavy pressure or you start to feel like an extra gush of fluid because they already had broke my water. She was like, hit the button right away, let us know. Otherwise, I'll be back to check on you in an hour. And I start feeling some pressure. Like things start happening. Things start getting weird, okay? Now, remind you, I was only 5 centimeters dilated still when she had said this to me. So all of a sudden, it's like, it feels like there's a watermelon in my like sitting in my crotch. I don't know how to describe it. It feels like there's a watermelon all of a sudden just got dropped into my lap. And so I hit my button and I'm like, nurse, come back, bring your ass here. And she comes in and I'm like, yeah, I feel some pressure and it happened really fast and I don't know what's going on. So she checks to see how dilated I am and she's like, oh, you're 10 centimeters dilated. And I was like, ooh, okay. She's like, do you want to start trying to push? And I'm going to call the doctor. Like while we wait for the doctor, do you want to start trying to push a little bit? I'm like, okay, for sure. So they call the doctor and I'm kind of freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is it. And it hurts a little bit, but it does not hurt all the way yet. Like the epidural is still somehow working or still somewhat working. It doesn't hurt all the way yet, but I just feel pressure and a little bit of pain. So I start pushing and she had me push, we pushed about 5 times total with that woman. And Brandon's right next to me and she's, looking down there and I'm pushing. And I would actually say like 4 times. The first 3 times I was pushing, because the epidural numbs you down there, pushing is hard, or in my opinion, pushing was hard because I can't feel everything down there. So I know that I think I'm pushing, but I can't feel like if I'm actually pushing well enough or if I'm actually making any progress. And I got so frustrated that like the first 3 times that I pushed, I was like, I won't be able to do this. Like I literally turned to Brandon and I was like, Brandon, I can't do this. Like, I think they're gonna have to cut this baby out of me. Like, I'm gonna have to have a C-section. I don't have the strength to push this baby out of me. Like, I was really doubting myself. And then I pushed a 4th time. I had even asked her the first 3 times. I was like, am I even making any progress? Like, I was so pissed off. And it slowly started to get more and more painful for me. And I was really frustrated because I was like, why am I in so much pain? Like, I'm in so much pain increasingly. It's getting worse and worse. And I had this freaking epidural. I was so mad and I was in so much pain. I remember being really angry as I was giving birth. Like, I was really, really pissed off. But the 4th time I pushed with her, the baby's head almost came out. And she was like, okay, whoa. Now look, we've been waiting for the delivering doctor to come into my room for about 15-20 minutes now. And he's still not there. And she's like freaking out because she's like, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm new at this and I'm not even qualified to really deliver this baby with you. And she was like, but I don't want to tell you not to push because, that's your natural reaction. We don't want anything bad to happen. Like, I don't want to tell you not to push, but we need this doctor to get here right now. The doctor's assistant or whatever you want to call it comes into the room before the doctor does. And so I am pissed because, like I said, we've been waiting for this doctor 15, 20 minutes, and every minute this is getting more and more painful, and the epidural is working less and less. So I am pissed. I'm like, where the hell is the doctor? And the doctor's assistant is like, oh, he's coming right now. He's coming right now. Brandon was pissed too. Brandon said to the girl, why isn't he with you? And I'm like, hello, like, I'm not going crazy. Somebody else sees that. I was so mad. We were literally calling for that doctor for 15 or 20 minutes. And by the time the doctor finally came into the room, you guys, I'm not saying this to be dramatic. I'm not saying this to like make the story interesting. I'm not saying, like, no joke, I was ugly crying and ready to curse him out. I was in the worst pain of my life. You know how when you like hit your pinky toe on something, it hurts so bad that it makes you angry? It was that times 1,000. I was in so much pain, and I was so angry that the epidural wasn't working. Like, I was a ball of anger. I was pissed off and ugly, wide, loudmouth scream crying. Like, ah! Like, I was not okay. And I don't know how to put it into words. Like, I really don't. I commend every woman that can have a natural childbirth because, bro, I was in so much pain. Like, all jokes aside, seriously, guys, it has kind of traumatized me, and I'm afraid to have another child because of labor. Like, my epidural wearing off and all the pain that I had to endure to give birth. It would have been easier to endure that pain if I would have chosen to have a natural birth, but the choice was taken away from me, and to nobody's fault. The epidural just happened to wear off, and that's just how my body took it, and that's okay. You know, it's over now, but I'm literally afraid to have another child because it traumatized me a little bit. Like, being in limbo and literally feeling my baby's head about to come out of my vagina, but I can't really push because the doctor isn't here. Like, I was so pissed and disappointed at the doctor. But like, I can't really push because the doctor's not there, and like every second the pain is getting worse and the epidural is wearing off. And not only was I feeling the pain of like, oh my God, I'm about to push this baby out with no epidural, that needle in my back, like once the epidural wore off all the way as I was giving birth and I could feel that needle in my back, bro, no, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But I only had to push with the doctor literally 2 times, and pop goes the baby. As far as my stay in recovery, oh, I was treated like a queen, baby. It was beautiful. The nurses would help feed my baby. I did breastfeeding and formula feeding. I'm still doing both. But the nurses would help feed the baby so I could sleep. After birth, I had really bad gas. And when I say gas, I mean like I had so much trapped gas inside of my body that the 3 nights that I stayed in recovery, I was crying every single night. I don't know what it was. It got worse at night. I was up, loudmouth, ugly, crying. Like, crying so stupid hard every night because there was so much gas in me and it was so painful. My chest hurt, my back hurts, my stomach hurt. It was terrible. And then I have health issues. I have thyroid issues, autoimmune issues, respiratory issues. At one point I had to be put on oxygen, and I do have a history of stroke, so I had to put on oxygen, and they were trying to give me morphine. It was like a whole thing. But yeah, as far as the hospital with recovery, it was ideal. It was great. But yeah, that is my labor and delivery story. I wanted to share because, like I said, I know a lot of moms listen to a lot of other women's labor and delivery birth stories when they are nearing labor, because it makes them feel comfortable, or it makes them you know, feel a sense of like community, like you're not alone in this, other women have gone through it. It helps you educate yourself about what the process will look like. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, if you're new here, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram, and I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah!